Consider this your warning. They're coming. It's not going to get any better, and it's probably going to get worse. And by them, I mean us, the United States. But I am trying to distance myself from this because I want to be an objective third party to the stuff that I'm about to talk about. I am a unique person. I am, despite my bizarre name, I am born and raised American. My grandparents are from the United States. I'm not saying that to be like, yeah, America. I'm just saying I did not have an uncle that played Sunday League in England, or relatives that grew up in South America, or in any other football hotbed around the world, right? My dad just started to understand the offside rule. My grandpa never did, right? He was more concerned with, the helmet football. But I grew up in an America that was learning what football was, that was learning the sport. When I was born, was in a country that really didn't give a shit, passionately did not give a shit. Soccer was a sport that you played at church camp when you were 6 years old. Your mom brought the orange slices in the minivan, and then you just kind of grew out of the ankle guard, shin guards, and that one weird, fringe European kid would play, and then everybody else would kind of stop. And I watched that change in my lifetime. I'm 29 years old. I watched that just transform. It was the introduction of the Premier League on national TV every weekend in the morning. It's a perfect time slot before our football kicks off, right? I watched the FIFA video games take off. Obviously, I got passionately addicted to Football Manager. But I remember sitting at lunchtime in 4th grade and watching all of the guys at my lunch table pick their Premier League team that they were going to root for, because there was this new sport that we were all of a sudden paying attention to. My dumbass picked Sunderland. Liverpool was right there. And I picked Sunderland. Anyways, that generation, the one younger than me, that grew up in a United States for the first time since the 1930s, where soccer was widely played and widely understood, is starting to appear. Guys like Christian Pulisic, obviously he's younger than me, right? But they're of my generation. That Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, those types of guys that grew up in the United States and came to the game likely the same way that I did. This is the next one. The one that lives in the United States where 9% of Americans say that soccer is their favorite sport. And keep in mind, we got a lot of choices for that. 9% is higher than hockey. We love hockey. Ice hockey, obviously. It is close to baseball, old national pastime that we've been playing professionally since the 1840s. Right, with old Shoeless McGee pitching to, 12 Toes Thompson or whatever baseball was in the 1840s. It feels like that's what it was. 9%. You know how big 9% of the United States is? And that's not even counting people that follow the sport, that it's their second or third favorite sport, where they definitely still play it on the weekends or whatever. That's 3 times the size of the Netherlands right there. You're getting half the population of England in that. Now, there are 1,000,001 problems with soccer in the United States. It's too expensive to play, the travel ball, there aren't enough clubs because a lot of the clubs go up to U18 and then you go to college, right? There's just different cultural things happening in the U.S. that help develop other American sports that don't help soccer at all, and it's going to take a long time for that to get corrected. Maybe when I'm 55 years old, sitting here, that will be, there will be some sort of streamlined, beautiful American Academy system that exists. But it's going to take a long time, and we're not there yet. The U.S. is already pretty fucking good. I mean, the United States has a ridiculous, and I'm speaking, again, all of this is just me speaking from my authentic American experience, but with the lens of I live in a world where I am usually the only American in a conversation. Most of you are not from here. That's fine. I love that, actually. But I am, I live and breathe in a footballing world that is foreign to where I was born and how I grew up. So I'm trying to use that perspective to translate what is happening in the United States, because the U.S. loves sports. Loves it. We have 85 sports. We compete our ass off in all of them. It is like, that's it. I played 5 sports in high school. I was very good at being just good enough to make it. But like the US there is such a strong sporting infrastructure. The gyms, the coaches, it's just this huge apparatus, sports in the United States. It's such a culturally important thing for us. Sports stars, right? Sports events. The Super Bowl is a damn holiday. Right? Like people that never watch sports ever have their famous buffalo chicken dip that they make for the Super Bowl. And then they watch it for the commercials, right? But it's like a cultural tradition. That apparatus is just starting to be applied to soccer. And that should be terrifying. Like, I know you're like, oh, I've heard this before. The United States. Did you see the score? The United States under-20 national team smoked France. Smoked them. Like a brisket on a Sunday afternoon in Mississippi. Smoked them. 13 shots to 2. Did you see the XG? 1.81 to 0.14. Watch the highlights of the match. There is one highlight for France, and it is a worse chance than any chance the U.S. has consistently over the course of the match. The U.S. team might not have better players on it 15 years from now. I know how the U20 World Cup works, right? I think Nigeria won it at one point. But Nigeria did make 6 straight World Cups and give a lot of teams a lot of problems and produce a lot of fantastic players. But the issue for Nigeria, well, I don't know what the issue for Nigeria is. I'm just talking about the United States. This is what the U.S. is capable of at like fucking 2%. I mean, the majority of people, particularly the older people in the United States, don't understand the sport. If they're from certain parts of the country, they don't give a shit. They think it's some foreign nonsense, not American, right? We all know that, those memeable people that exist, right? That's still very strong in the United States. That soccer is a foreign sport. Wow, I care about that. Bring me my Burger King. But the U.S., just with that, well, now all of a sudden everybody plays FIFA. Right? You got, in my fraternity house in college, we got FIFA tournaments going on. Right? There's a strong interest in the sport. And now I see the next people coming. I got a lot of little cousins. I got a big family. You know what sport all those kids want to play? Soccer. They all play soccer. Doesn't matter where they are. I got family in Colorado. I got family in Texas. I got family in North Carolina. They like soccer because it's all around them now. And obviously with this World Cup, it's going to be even more around them. You think this is annoying? Wait until those kids grow up and the MLS has existed for their entire lives. And the USL does whatever the hell it's doing, trying to create 100 clubs around the country. And it's doing a pretty damn good job of that. And MLS maybe creates the second league they're talking about. And all of a sudden, there's a lot more clubs in the US where you can start playing with a pathway directly to the professional game. It's not just college soccer anymore, which, by the way, there is a deal in place now for college soccer teams to become reserve teams for professional sides. College soccer coaches got together. They said, our game's becoming irrelevant, right? We want to use it to help develop American talent. We also want to continue to be able to compete. And when we're recruiting these guys, they don't want to come play college soccer because they want to go play in Europe or something. So they're going to connect all of these college soccer teams to professional outlets, whether it be MLS, USL, whatever deal. They want to have that done in the next couple of years. The old stones of time that blocked the U.S. from ever giving a shit about soccer from 1950 to like 1990, when the U.S. finally got back to a World Cup and gave Italy some problems in 1990 with a bunch of college kids. I mean, the U.S. has been making round of 16s with like the sons of U.S. servicemen from Germany and other places like Iceland, and random ass dudes like Clint Dempsey that grew up near the Mexico border that just balled out against a bunch of Mexican dudes growing up. And then Clint Dempsey was a dog. And the U.S. has been turning that into 4 round of 16s at the last 5 World Cups. 3 round of 16s at the last 4 World Cups. I got to get it right. Sorry. That is insane. Now, the U.S. has a team built of guys that grew up in the U.S., fell in love with the game in the U.S., want to play, that like came up through these academy systems in the U.S. The money is there, the attention is there, and most importantly, the players are there. I have always believed that the U.S. is capable of being the best in the world at this sport. That's really uncomfortable truth for a lot of people. But the truth is, the United States is the biggest country in the world in which sporting culture is king. It is. I mean, India has cricket, but it just doesn't have the sporting infrastructure to be able to exploit the talent around the country. China loves basketball, right? And gave football a really big go, but just has not been able to put together any sort of sporting infrastructure that can support the kind of grassroots stuff that you need. And the United States does not have grassroots football in the way that you would consider it everywhere else. But the United States does have grassroots sports and a big belief that you can make it. And now these kids that are growing up that are in this US U20 team have seen guys make it. They've seen Pulisic make it. They've seen Weston McKennie make it. These guys are playing in Champions League finals. They're playing in the San Siro. They've seen it. When I was a little kid, we used to get excited for a guy like Gideon Zalalem. It's like, oh, we got an American in the reserve team at Arsenal. That was huge. Julian Green, oh my God, we had an 18-year-old who's playing like U23s at Bayern. Julian Green actually ended up being a pretty good player in the lower levels the second division of Germany. That's what we got excited. I remember those days. I remember tracking those guys and being like, wow, maybe one day we'll have an American that like starts on a Premier League team. How cool would that be? One that's not a goalkeeper. And now that's just a thing. Somebody like Chris Richards, you don't really care that he's American. It's not a huge thing. It's not as big of a thing as it was even for Christian Pulisic. I mean, that's how quickly it's changed. And he's just a steady starting center back for Crystal Palace, won a trophy, scores a goal every once in a while. He's just there. Dude's from Alabama. Who do you think's on this team? US U20 team that just skunked France 3-0. But are 2 matches down, and the other one was against New Caledonia, and they're already headed to the round of 16 at this U20 World Cup. They've already clinched it. I mean, honestly, tell me they can't win it. Because if you can beat France's U20s like this, now I know the goals were late, but if you can beat France's U20s like that, France is France. The youth product, I mean, the streets of Paris are famous. The national team of France shits out superstars. Their youth production line doesn't miss. It's basically the same. I mean, I would say, France is better than England. Right? You're looking at Spain and Brazil really are the only 2 nations that I would put ahead of France when it comes to producing really talented young players. I would love to see the US U20s play them. But the reason I'm making this video, one, I always like explaining American culture and American sporting culture to people that maybe don't understand it. Or, as well as I do anyways. Kind of hard for me not to, having lived here basically my entire life. All right, the point of the video is that the U.S. is not really going to get worse. I mean, sure, something like what's happening to Germany could happen where you have all these players that play for top teams, but it's just not gelling, right? And the U.S. will still show up and lose to fucking Panama because we're doing that for a living all of a sudden. But I'm talking about the talent pool. I'm talking about what the U.S. is capable of, because nobody would argue with the fact that Germany is capable of winning the World Cup. If they showed up and won the World Cup, we'd be surprised, but you wouldn't be that surprised. What the U.S. is capable of on a football field, on a soccer field, I suppose I should say, I'm talking about it in the U.S., is not going to diminish from here. It is only going to go in one direction. And that should be a little, this is like a harbinger of doom for a lot of people. I'm aware of that. My sincerest condolences. Because the U.S. is just going to keep. This is the direction the U.S. national teams are going to go in, and the more this shit gets figured out, like the stuff with college soccer and everything, it's only going to get better for us, but worse for y'all. So that's a fitting word for that.